Thank you, and hallelujah to Estonia. I'm very glad to be here today to talk to you about what we are doing in Finland, and I want to thank you very much, Estonia, for arranging this great event and also about the great opening song, which we all love. Anyway, we have discussed about what Finland is doing, what other Nordic countries, including Estonia, are doing, and also how we are positioned in the world. And before I start, I'd like to say to all to you that World Economic Forum actually published a report this week about network readiness. And again, I'm very glad to say that Finland was #1 in the world. But this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that Sweden was 3rd. So Magnus, are you still here? We beat you again. Yes, okay. So I will briefly tell you about the, let's say, Finland's digital agenda, which means we have a public sector ICT strategy, then we have ICT 2015 strategy. I will cover them briefly. Then I have the crazy ideas for true digital society, which seem us to present, and then some words about the Nordic collaboration. First, our goal is, of course, to make Finland the most innovative digital society in the world and to have a very competitive economy regarding internet and the use of digital services. And we have two main strategies which have been published in 2013. First, we have the public sector ICT strategy, which is under the responsibility of Ministry of Finance. Then we have the ICT 2015 strategy, which was made in a very large collaboration between public administration and ICT industry. And it was actually started because of the challenges regarding Nokia and the whole big Nokia cluster and ICT sector cluster in Finland. Of course, this is also related to what has happened to Nokia and how it has affected Finnish economy. But the public sector ICT strategy, of course, covers the whole public sector. It means state and municipalities, because in Finland, municipalities are very independent and very strong. The ICT 2015 strategy focuses more on how to boost our economy by public sector and private sector working together. And both of these strategies, if you are interested, are available online in English. This is our public sector ICT strategy. I will not go into detail, but I will say the main things. We have 5 so-called focus areas. The first is service innovation ecosystems. It means that we want to make it possible for different companies, regardless of their size, be they big or small, to participate more in developing public services, and especially new advanced public services. It means that public procurement should be faster, and we would need to have some type of cases where we would very easily could pilot new services without going through the whole quite often very complex public procurement procedure. Okay, the second one is open data and joint use, and of course this is about interoperability and open data. And as President Ilves presented in the morning, our prime ministers have signed a memorandum of understanding about the collaboration between Finland and Estonia in using X-Road and developing the national data exchange layer in Finland. And of course this is to solve the interoperability between administrations and in many cases also between administration and businesses. Of course, we all know about the open data, and we have a specific opening of data program which is led by the Ministry of Finance. Then we have the know-how. We need to make sure that we have the capabilities to use and benefit from ICT in public sector. It means that we need to have very skillful employees. And of course, there are different things we can do. For example, we can try to make sure that we have more type of a kind of a developer-minded people working in public administration, not techies, but people who understand how ICT and business processes can work together more smoothly. Then about governance. Governance is always important. We need to have clear governance structures, and then we need to have cost-effective ICT infrastructure. And actually, in Finland, we have founded in the beginning of March a new agency. We have a new agency that will handle all the basic ICT infrastructure services. We call it Valtori. It's called Valtori, and in the vision in the end of 2015, this Valtori agency will have approximately about 1,300 people working for it with a budget of 350 million euros per year. And all state administration basic ICT infrastructure services like telecommunications, data centers, workstations, etc. will be handled by this one big agency. Also, we have underway work where we are going to found an agency to be responsible of the cross-sector development and architectures, all the common stuff. And when we compare the situation in Finland to, for example, to other Nordic countries, especially to Estonia or Denmark, we know that in Denmark and Estonia there are these type of agencies already. In Estonia there is the RIA agency, and in Denmark there is the DIGST agency. And this is something we are looking now in Finland to found. So these are the basic focus areas we are doing now in Finland regarding the public sector ICT strategy. Then the second strategy, the ICT 2015, it covers actually 21 paths to a frictionless Finland. And this report, you can find it online. And it was steered, the development of the strategy was steered by the very high-level group, and now it's in operation, the working group, and it's on Prime Minister's mandate. So it's chaired by the State Secretary of our Prime Minister, high-level group. And it focuses on competitiveness of companies and the public sector in internet economy. So as I just told you in the beginning, it's about how public sector and private sector could work and collaborate more to make new possibilities for growth on internet economy and for ICT and electronic companies. So it's a very big thing. And what is very interesting today to say that the path one in this strategy, which is also defined as critical, is about building a uniform national service architecture. And this is what we are actually now doing together with Estonia in collaboration on X-Road. And ICT 2015 is on the government fast track. And this is the national architecture of digital services, the path one of the ICT 2015 strategy. And it is also in our government's top program, which we call the Structural Change Program. So we are doing with Estonia the National Data Exchange Service, which Estonians call the X-Road. In Finland we call it Palveluväylä in Finnish. And well, there are different components there, but main idea is that we need to be competitive in the coming digitalized world, we need to have the basic national infrastructure in place. And by infrastructure, I do not mean hardware. I mean software infrastructure and service infrastructure. We need to have the data exchange service to make sure that interoperability is done and can be achieved between administration and businesses. We need to have the national eID solution, which is flexible for also new innovation. And then we need to have service views to make it easier for administrations, for businesses, and of course for citizens to access public services. And what is currently underway? As you already know, and what President Ilves also explained to you in the morning, our Prime Minister signed electronically a Memorandum of Understanding on the collaboration between our countries. And we have received from Estonia the X-Road source code and all the documentation, and we have actually opened the development environment, the test environment in March this year. So anyone, any company or any individual who is interested about the Finnish palveluväylä can access this site and learn about how we are going to use the X-Road code as the basis of our own national solution. There are of course other actions in the ICT 2015 which are very important. I just want to mention the new public R&D initiative, which is about making it easier and faster for different sized companies to gain a foothold in the market, to make it possible for different companies to innovate new services for public administration. And we have actually quite a substantial amount of money to make it possible. The idea is that we need to be faster, smaller and more agile in the future in public service development. Also, I want to briefly mention the real-time economy and national income registry. We have actually plans to found a real-time national income registry so that administration and also businesses, if citizens give rights to these businesses, for example banks, can know real time what is the income situation of each citizen. It has a lot of benefits, of course, for public administration, but also for different business needs. Then I was asked by SEAM to give some crazy ideas, and I have some ideas on this slide, but I have to say that this is with disclaimer. These are not the official Finnish policies, or these are not the official opinions or policies of the Ministry of Finance, but these are crazy ideas SEAM was after. And of course, the one big thing is that we need to have open interfaces to achieve true interoperability between administrations. It does not mean that we only use open source code. The code can be open source or it can be proprietary, but the idea is that when we exchange data between services, between systems, between administrations, we need to do it smoothly and by open interfaces. Then, secondly, in Finland we are spending approximately 2 billion euros per year in public sector ICT development. This means both state and municipalities. And I have to say that a bigger percentage of this amount is currently used on maintenance. And we would need to have more money on development. And this we would need to achieve by doing maintenance more cheaply, let's say, and to allocate the resources to developing new services, new very innovative world-class services. Then, of course, more possibilities for new business growth, for SMEs, for also big companies. We need to have more competition, we need to be faster, we need to be more agile. This is very important. And about the basic services, well, the data exchange layer based on X-Road is of course very important, but the e-identification is also extremely important. Finland was first in the world to have the e-ID card in 1999, but actually still today most of the people, or let's say almost 100% of people, for citizens, they use the bank codes when they do business with private sector or with public sector electronically. So actually, even though we have had the EID card, it has not been in much use. But the idea is not to go back to the card, but to see what we could do together in the future regarding new technological possibilities. Of course, there's the mobile identification, but I think we should need to look forward. What about the near-field communication? In the future, could we, for example, have wearable EID solutions like watches or jewelry? Could I have a bracelet with my EID there? So, I think we need to make sure that public administration offers these type of possibilities for companies to make new innovation. Then, of course, Internet of Things. It can make very, very sci-fi type possibilities for new service innovation. For example, the wearable devices to monitor health and about education. For example, gaming. How the children and also youngsters, how can they learn more easier if things are done or learned by playing? And the most craziest idea I came up with is that actually, what if public administration work, which we are doing, what if we could do it as games? I don't mean I don't mean, for example, office politics or anything like that, but we could change the whole way of usability and user experience. I mean, if I come to work in the morning and I think that I need to do some boring office stuff and the usability of all the services is bad and I have to click and I have a different windows and screens and it's boring and difficult. What if we could have a kind of user experience and the systems would be used more like games? I could say that it's fun to come to work. So I think this we can think about. It's not easy, but anyway, it's a crazy idea. And then lastly, about the Nordic collaboration. What should we do? Of course, we have collaboration already, for example, between Estonia and Finland, and also in many areas between other Nordic countries. Of course, we have very long history, for example, between Finland and Sweden, and also with other Nordic countries on different services. But what should we do together more now? What should we concentrate on? And I think the main idea is the cross-border interoperability. And of course, we should not concentrate on technical issues, but on more of the governance and how we do the services together. What type of processes, for example, regarding health, employment, taxation, residence, vehicles, etc. What could we do together? For example, Finland with Estonia, with Sweden, with Denmark, with Norway. And all these things we could give as an example for the whole Europe. I think that would be a very, very important thing to do. And what President Ilves actually said this morning is I think he was after the same type of collaboration. And I think we have excellent possibilities for this. And also, if we think more about the private sector side, I think the industrial internet could be one area that we could concentrate more. It's of course about collaboration between public administration and private sector, but we could think together, all Nordic countries, what we could do to make sure that we can boost our businesses, or especially on the industrial internet. And of course, the main idea is that we need to have success stories to make sure that we are on top of the coming digitization big wave. We know that the economy and the society are now changing very fast, and a lot of world-class specialists see that the real digitization is coming. So we need to make sure, we need to collaborate together and make sure that we, Nordic countries, will be the best in the world also in the future. So these are shortly my main topics for today, and I would like to thank you.
Thank you, and hello everyone. My name is Kirsi Miettinen, and well, the presentation is not ready. But anyways, Kirsi Miettinen from the Ministry of Transport and Communications. When I picked up this headline, I didn't know that it would be this accurate, really. I'm referring to the news that Riku was telling you about, and saying that, well, at least we must be doing something right. You cannot stare too closely on this kind of measurements, but this is the message we can have. Okay, we have had lots of impressive videos today. They are very nice. I would also like to show one very short video here in the beginning.
Got an idea for a new digital service? Skills for developing one? Or the money and connections to fund the next hit? Please fasten your seatbelt. Forge Service Lab is a place for designing and developing digital services, but we at DigIle prefer to call it one heck of a ride. A ride where you get to design, implement, and experiment with your new digital service and get feedback from others. In Forge, experts from different fields combine their enthusiasm and passion. Service development happens in co-creation among several partners that are interested in the same service area. And if you have expertise or subcomponents that other digital service creators can use, you may let everyone know about it in Forge. After you've hopped on board with your idea, we'll provide you with the best possible help, as well as with cloud computing infrastructure and other tools that you'll need for your new revolutionary service. Your group enters Forge with an idea for a digital service and exits with a scalable implementation that's ready to be commercialized. What would your digital service be like? Take your idea to Forge Service Lab and ride with it. It might change your life, and it might even change the world.
Thank you. You can cut it now. Thanks. This is one of the pilots that we have been working on. It's called Forge. It's a platform for development and testing of digital services. And it really sums up things that we are trying to do now. It's all about digital services, and let's roll up our sleeves. I'm going to tell you about another Finnish initiative. Riku already mentioned the public sector ICTs. This is not about that. And this is also not about development of ICTs, like the ICT 2015. This is about how to develop other sectors of the society with the help of ICTs. We have been running within our ministry and in Finland also a number of information society strategies. With this governmental period, there was no such strategy, but in the program of the government, it was stated that each ministry shall draft their own smart strategies. And we got the task to coordinate this job. These are the three major questions that we were posing to ourselves when we started the job. And really, it's about how we will survive as a nation within this new digital era. So we put together a group, and we decided that it's going to be an informal group. It's not going to be a formal committee like we used to have, but an informal group to do brainstorming, sharing information, coming up with new ideas. And well, the first question we had, what is a smart strategy really? How does it differ from information society strategies and digitalization strategies that we had for almost all the organizations and ministries had digitalization strategies? And so we decided that we have had enough words. They are necessary, but now it's time to do some more concrete things. And we came up with this motto, Finland, world's smartest system. We hope that it does have some smile in it. But, as told, it's not very far from the truth. And here in the bottom you have these kind of components, what comes with it. The most important thing is the change in ways of doing things. And we look for ecosystems. Some of them have been arising already, like with the information security branch, and some of them we need to trying to tailor, so to say. And we aim to produce and use more smart digital services that are customer-oriented. Experimenting Finland and Open Finland, these are the kind of two ideas that almost everything that we want to do, they can be linked to these ideas. So we decided that we will take this kind of instruction. Many of you have heard it. Think big, do small. Piloting. All of these issues are very important indeed, like for us. The public sector is very much siloed. Doing things together should change that. But navigating in the fog has proven to be maybe even the most important thing. When we are looking for new businesses and new technologies that will fly, piloting can show you which will have the energy or potential in it. But it also can kind of help the governments to navigate in the fog. With this third era of industrial revolution, it is a very big challenge for at least two reasons, even more challenging than the other two phases. First, there is this speed of change. In Finland, building electricity infrastructure took 50 years. And now we are counting that building the digitalized infrastructure will take 25 years when it's completely finished in 2020. And then, also because of the speed, there are no forerunners in the international way of thinking. In the earlier phases, you had countries that were way ahead the others, and you could learn from them. But now, there are some countries that are doing wonderfully, for example, with LTE. None of these are, I'm sad to say, European. Then there are countries that have been very clever with taking the advantage of big data, for example. And you have to kind of shop here and there and everywhere in order to learn from the experiences of the others. So we decided to call these smart strategies GIDE. It comes from words growth, innovation, digital services, and evolution. In Finland, we only changed G for K, and it's also a crystal structure. Smartness, as we think, always stands with 2 feet. There's the use of ICTs, and then this changing of ways of doing things. Well, I'm talking about things we are doing now, small things, and those big dreams that we have. One could even say wet dreams. This is a kind of a networking project or projects. We, for example, are a very small number of people. We are only 30. There's not much we can do, really. So we have to have locomotive partners, as we call them. Like, for example, for this forge, there is Digital Limited that is actually doing the job. This is going quite well. We have been networking well, and also the other ministries that didn't even have a good tradition for networking, they are coming with us. Sorry, it was supposed to be in English. So here in the bottom you have the networking project. Then there is this GDA phenomenon, and we mean by that we must have what we call ambassadors. We are a very limited number of people, but we need to have this understanding throughout the society that it's not only development of ICTs or boosting the ICT industry sector, which has been very important for us, but it's like metal industry, it's like sales, it's like hairdressers, maybe even, that need to be digitalized. And if they don't, with some time, they will just vanish. This is kind of progressing rather well. Our political decision makers, they already know that when we are speaking about future, we are speaking about digitalization and how important it is. But when it comes to the actual decision making, then there is always other very important issues as well, and the kind of focus may be lost. And even for myself, it's sometimes like, it's kind of understanding every now and then that it really means this as well. I never understood that. It's kind of the understanding what the change will really mean is on the surface still. What we are aiming to, and this is a wet dream, is a digital service culture for Finland, so that there will be lots and lots of digital services. Let them be small apps. Let them be world-scale digital services that are offered from Finland. We do have gaming industry that is running rather well, but otherwise this service culture is really a hard bite for us Finns. We have been very wise in a technical sense of doing things, but services, it's been always very hard for us. And now that we are talking about digital services, there is much to do, and that is why pilots like Forge are absolutely necessary. They teach us to create digital services that are really customer-oriented. This is one, so to say, path of development that has taken place. It's about open data. It's a very obvious example. We have all been doing quite well with this, but I chose this because you can see the steps. There are lots of things that we only have one step, so it's very hard to show any progress there. But this is something we did within our branch, within our ministry. We have a number of agencies, both for transport, then we have for communications, Ficora, and then we have the meteorological authority. They have lots of data that is very interesting for the businesses to do new services. But when you start thinking about new things like opening up data sets, there are lots of fears. There are also lots of true problems that has to be solved. You need to have strategy first. We had, in 2011, there was a governmental resolution saying that basically all the data sets that can be opened should be opened. But you cannot solve those very basic issues on paper only. You need to take the actual cases and start solving the problems. So our agencies were asking, for example, who is liable? If there is a service based on the data set, should the authority be liable for the accuracy of the data? So we took all the data sets and divided them into groups, data sets that can be opened and those who are more difficult ones. Then we took the low-hanging fruits, so to say. And the aim is that in the end all the data sets of our branch will be opened by 2017. What you are doing now is combining the data sets. And this is very interesting, really. We will have those situation awareness data, and all of those authorities have them. Now we are putting them together and trying to create something new. We also have other partners there, not just our authorities. And we do have a dream that in the end all the other branches or the other ministries who have also situation awareness data should join us, and we would have a very multiple set of data. Oh no. Sorry, I managed to mess with my slides. Well, blanche cards, Finnish aces. Not really. These are about some strengths that we all Nordic countries share. But my bold claim is that we have them all, like we have this position, a gateway between East and West. Then we have very strong privacy regulations, and then we don't sing. You can count on us taking seriously whatever needs you have. This is one concrete project that will realize our ACs. This is a Baltic Sea backbone cable. The decision to build it has taken already, and construction will be carried out this summer and the next. But this is only the first step. The wet dream is that in the end there will be lots and lots of cables coming to Finland, from Finland, through Finland, and maybe, for example, through north-east passage. And this is also, of course, linked to the dream about cables running through Finland. We also would like to be a data hub. And, well, this is something that we did already. The governments wanted to lower electricity tax. This is perhaps a small step, but it's kind of a question of principle. It's not very rare that data industry pays the same tax as the households. Is this what we are still thinking about it? It's not an industry. That is not really the case for Finland, at least anymore. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So you know the drill, right? You've heard what Finland is doing, planning to do, both from the public sector side as well as in the overall economy, and exactly the strong focus on how to get the industries going really and the services overall, right? So, what do you want to know more? what you want to comment on. Yes, there's one hand raised, and we have a Latvian.
Hello, thank you for presentations, great. Sorry, Sib, you announced already where I am from. My name is Lilita Sporana, and yes, I'm from that strange inner country left behind the door with Lithuania. But we are still few representatives here, sorry. Comment and also question at the end, any of you, which you feel ready to answer. First of all, if you also, Riku, at the end, you announce the countries you're ready to work, Finland, Estonia, Finland, Sweden, Finland, Denmark. There is no ferry boat line yet, Helsinki, Riga, but there is a business already, Latvia, Finland, and it is developing even more. And why I'm saying that? Just because we just opened the branch of Demola. Demola Latvia is the newest, one of the 8 branches in the Europe. And I really can confirm that we are learning that all these kind of new things, new apps, new games, which are coming out from not just Demola, but any other innovative platforms. And also, I just was in Nice, and I was in a basic jury evaluating e-health competitors from SMEs. There were very many applications from Finland in an e-health sector, and even more and more. And in the beginning of May, we are going to have such a thing like Creativity Week, and Finland will start with that on May 12th, sharing experience on design thinking, how you can change people's life, people's well-being with a simple, sometimes things, with the technology and so on. And my question at the end, giving compliments to all what you are doing, how you are combining these new things, new apps, new games, which are coming into the market unplanned. They are always unplanned, but you have, I believe, public tenders, whatever, for education IT, for e-health systems, and so on and so on. Is it easy to add something afterwards to combine it? And what about those startups? Because always, at least in our country, they are ready for export markets. They are not really sitting in one country. I believe that they might start in their own country, but how is it in your country and how you deal with that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is the mic on? Yes, okay, thank you very much. First, I did not want to exclude Latvia from the Nordic countries. I know we have the traditional way of thinking Nordic countries, and it does not necessarily include Estonia, Latvia, or Lithuania, but of course we can include you also. That's not a problem. But regarding your question, it's a difficult task. We need to take into account the legislation, the EU legislation and the national legislation of public procurement. But as I mentioned, we have in the ICT 2015 strategy and its implementation, we have a kind of action which is called public research and development. And there we have funding to do fast and small development with the SMEs and startups, for example. But of course, we do not yet have a complete model how to achieve this. Because what we know that SMEs and startups, especially if they want to have business abroad in Europe or even globally, they need to have references. And I think it's in public sector's interest to make sure that different ideas which are good and innovative could gain references. So I think we don't yet have a complete model for this, but we have funding, we have the vision, and I think Kirsi could also add what she already told about how this Digile and stuff you are doing with the Ministry of Transport and Communications are already coping with that area also.
Yes, indeed. Well, this is also kind of a public sector issue, but we have been thinking a lot which services should and can in the future be provided by the public sector really. There will be, and if we open up the interfaces, open up the databases, there will be lots of new apps coming and filling needs that we don't even know that they exist. And I think there's a hole for all these small companies to come. And well, we know of course that maybe 1 or 2 out of 1,000 good ideas will fly in the end, but they all must have their try. And then in the end we only know which of those will be viable in the future. But the beauty, I think, with this whole new cloud services-based digital infrastructure is that even those small companies, they don't need to think about their home markets first. They can design their services directly, being worldwide.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Do we have another question coming up? I can't see right away, so I think well, I'll ask you both. So just like you answered now to the same question, both. So Riku brought up this idea that public sector work actually could be game-like or gaming-based. So what I'll ask you personally, you both work in public sector and know what we do there and what the services are. What part of public sector really, in your view, could be most game-like? What would make your days more fun and perfect? Do you want to get paid in badges instead of money, for example?
Well, have to say that the current reality is that I almost feel like being in a reality game when I enter into my office at the moment and start clicking open all those services that are there,
okay.
and putting my
this is a test of
SSOs.
endurance, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So well, one thing is of course that that we do have just too many systems at the moment. So if there would be a way to combine all these, and well, even today you still need some education how to use all these, and then there are lots of commercial services that you can learn by using them.
Right.
That's how my desk should look like also in the work.
Okay.
Yes, I think we would need to think out of the box in a new way, because now we have a lot of routine work. We need to use different type of systems. We have different kind of identification for those passwords, usernames, etc. And there are tens and tens of those systems we need to use in public administration. In our ministry, and of course if you work for some agency, for example a registry, you do some stuff. Of course most of them can be automated, but not all. But I think the whole user experience could be that we would have more usability, or more kind of gaming experience.
So instead of you going to work, it will the avatar going to work.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then of course there are a lot of possibilities. We could have scores and everything, and when we come to office we could think that it's fun.
All right. So we hope this is how the public sector work in Finland will look like.
Yeah, it does already.
Thank you to Finland.
It's already fun.
Thank you.